Today is March 1st, 2025, and I am at Big Stone Lake State Park in Big Stone County, Minnesota. Well, it's the weekend again, so we got another park to go to. Today it is Big Stone Lake State Park, which is in western Minnesota again, which is kind of like where I was last week, but like further. Wow, that's just one hair sticking out of that. That's great, whatever. So we're going. Gonna start heading out. It's like later than I wanted to, but I also really needed to sleep in today. I needed like a quick catch up on sleep, so like heading out later than I thought I was going to. And then I didn't get out of bed for like an hour and a half after. I was crocheting, but I also knew I had to be going here. Kinda honest, this is like the first one where I was just like, God, I don't want to go. I don't want to go, and I'm like, I have to? Because this year is only so long, and we're already in March now, and I've only been to 8, which is an eighth of the way through, because, you know, 64 is the perfect square. However, if we're thinking about it, I should probably be closer to around 10 right now, and it's fine, because I've checked and checked and checked, and most of my doubles are going to be when it's warmer out, when there's just more daylight. Which is on purpose. So like when I check and I like look at where I'll be end of June, I'll be exactly 32 parks in as long as nothing happens, which is halfway through, which is what I want. So even if it seems like I'm off to like a slow start and it's like, you're not gonna get everything done in that time, chill, bless. I have a plan. I have a plan. Made it. As I read online, I don't think I told you, this park office is closed. So there's no people here, there's no getting stickers, there's no nothing. There's just the kiosk with map. And I also didn't decide what trail I was gonna go to because I forgot when I left. I knew beforehand. I was like, yep, I should make sure I know where I want to go beforehand because there won't be a ranger to ask like their opinion. And then I got here and I was like, right, I need to figure that out. So we're going to. Also, the like parking along the Meadowbrook Trail, which would bring me to, which is where there's like camping and hiking, closed off because there's no camping in the winter. So let's figure this out. Right away we are realizing, at least on this trail so far, kind of have to watch out for deer shit. It's not like a lot, but I've seen a couple piles here. So kind of keeping my eyes on the ground. I also don't know. I feel like maybe I came across as grumpy earlier where I was like, I don't want to go out. I just want to stay in and rot. And like, hold on. Do you see them? There's a bunch of deer. There's one right through there. I don't think they're still in there. They're just standing in the trees. And I can't zoom in anymore. Oh, here's some more. Wait, I think that's the best, like, there had to be like 20 of them. There were so many. Oh, hi babies. There's tons. Oh my god. I don't know if you can see them in there. There's so many. Hi babies. So tons of tracks. Like I saw them earlier and I'm like, there's gonna be a lot of deer here, but they're okay. Okay, bye. I'm actually heading this way is the thing. Because this is the prairie trail. I'm walking over, like there's so many deer tracks here. We can clearly see who made them. We got one crossing the trail up here. It's kind of their whole coloring scheme is to blend in. Hi, babies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh my goodness. Hi, babies. 13. Like, what cute. They're so adorable. Like, because they're all very, very clearly pretty young. Like, they don't have spots, but they're not big boys. Those are some... I was about to say, I was kind of in a grumpy mood, but as I was like almost here, I was like 5 miles away maybe, right by the lake and the river. There was a deer kind of about that same size that was just like kind of standing in the road, and I kind of like stopped for it and I was like, move baby, other side, and he just kind of walked over and let me walk past. But there was that, and then I was even closer here and another critter in the road. There was a beautiful little pheasant there that was taking his time crossing that I let go past. I was like, you know what, the animals made me a little bit happier, but that was like a full like 50 deer, I swear. There was at least 20 to 30 in the first group that was too far away to really show you, but at least in that second one we had close to 20. All at once. They're so adorable. I wonder who was crossing through right here. Who's to say? Okay, I feel like all of this vlog now is gonna be whispered because I was just walking along and it's tall grass. Like, that's kind of the point, is that we're in the prairie biome. Leaping out of it, 2 deer. Just were like, whoop, someone got close and walked away. And just ran further out. So I'm trying to like not, like, I'm in their house right now. I'm trying to not be a bad guest and like frighten them. But I also want to talk about the park. So I feel like I'm only gonna do that when I get close to the lake and I'm not gonna be disturbing these funny little deer. The park was created in 1961 as a reaction to lakeshore development in the area, but as far back as 1923, state auditors had suggested that there was a need for more parks in southern Minnesota and suggested the area here should be made one. This was due to a geographic imbalance in where parks were in the state, as there were plenty more in the north than in the south. Big Stone Lake State Park is part of the Minnesota River Country Landscape Region, a large area which extends almost 200 miles from Ortonville to Mankato. At one time, the landscape consisted of tall and mid-grass prairie, which you see around me here, interspersed with marshes, lakes, and streams. However, much of this area has now become farmland. And you'll also find things like cottonwoods and ash and silver maples by the lake shore. Located on the Minnesota-South Dakota border, Big Stone Lake State Park is named after Big Stone Lake, which is also the headwaters to the Minnesota River. There are 2 sections of the park. The Northern Bonanza section has a picnic area, boat launch, and education center. And the Southern Meadowbrook area has the campground and more hiking, as well as its own boat launch. The geology of this area is very interesting. It used to be that long ago, this area was the south end of Glacial Lake Agassiz. I'll put it on the screen. I think it's Agassiz. Currents of water cut the valley when Glacial River Warren drained Lake Agassiz. In the area of Big Stone Lake State Park consists of granite and gneiss quarries. The top of each of the stone is exposed and contains the fossil remains of shark teeth. There aren't sharks here anymore, obviously, but there is still a plethora of wildlife to see, including deer, obviously, raccoons, 13 lined ground squirrels, meadowlarks, sedge wrens, pheasants, bobolinks, wild turkeys, thrashers, and mourning doves. Wouldn't it be iconic if some deer would have right behind me right now? In the river, there are also walleye, northern pike, yellow perch, and bluegills. The closest town to Big Stone is Ortonville. Although if you are looking to visit from elsewhere in the state, here are some numbers for you. You're 136 miles from St. Cloud, 198 miles from the Twin Cities, and 279 miles from Duluth. is way down there. Okay. I didn't realize this vlog was gonna be all deer content, but I mean, I take back what I said about not being excited to go out today. This has been delightful. I've spooked a bunch of teenage deer accidentally. Can we acknowledge how blue the sky is? Like, that's like if you said, hey, pick a sky blue crayon out of the box. That is what you would pick. I think if I came back to this park in spring, I'd die. Why? Pollen. The pollen, there's so much. This is all just prairie. And I think I have a track record of not liking prairie-only state parks very much. So these deer are pulling a lot of wood. They've been delightful. This is all we got. This like just group of trails is all just prairie ones. You can just kind of walk around. We're like, hold on, there. And I think we probably are gonna go this way and then head back around this like almost mile loop here and then go check out the lake. But yeah, I mean, it's so blue. Something interesting about the lake and the river being the Minnesota-South Dakota border. This is something my grandma told me literally last week. I mentioned I was going to be at this park, and she told me that something interesting about the regulations between Minnesota and South Dakota and how we like groom like the lake area here. You can really see in that South Dakota has a lot less regulations. They are able to kind of trim it, make it more of like a beach area, whereas in Minnesota, kind of the point is to preserve what it would have looked like before. So it's kind of trees all the way up to the edge of the lake, and just kind of being pretty natural in the way that it is. So you can kind of really see the stark difference, like from lakeshore to lakeshore, where it's like, oh, this is Minnesota, that's South Dakota. They're a little bit different. I don't think they noticed me until I got right up on them. And again, that's zoomed in. They were way in the middle of that field, and I could just see their ears poking out. So yeah, tall grass, good for hiding in if you're a deer. I wonder if like animals in state parks are like protected areas where people are a lot in the summer and like the fall, but like aren't really in as much in like the winter or spring. Think that like humans are a group that like hibernates or something. I wonder if the deer here think that I'm some weird confused version, a member of my species who has decided to show up here long before I should and are worried that I'm diseased. Like, you know, an armadillo in the day. That's a weird analogy, but I don't know, I just think they're a little funny. There's so many deer tracks here, it's ridiculous. And we didn't go on the bluebird trail, but there's still some bluebird houses here and there. So that's fun. And then yeah, like I said, visitor center, completely closed right now. They are not open during the winter. It's kind of like interstate, which, you know, it is what it is. So I can't get a sticker or anything, but they always have the stamp outside. So we got that. And yeah, I think we're gonna go head down to the lake, take a peek, and then probably I'm gonna head out. All the way back to where I'm parked by the boat launch, and this is, so we were on that side earlier. These are the trees those deer were in, and this is the trail where they went into the grass.
you can just see how flattened out this bit is here, where like all of them were before they disappeared. It's like, wow. I wonder where they went into the grass. I'm aware that probably most of the deer we saw after that point were the same ones from before, but even then, the initial group was 30 to 40 individual deer. That's still a lot of deer. I think this is a really dried out dead fish. Like, at least the head of it, like, what? I thought for 2 seconds, oh god, I don't want to get closer to like kick it over and see what it is. I looked down for a second, I saw something white, and I'm like, oh my god, is it a deer shed? Is it like a little bit bitty antler? As you know, it's spring, and I'm expecting not to see those. I'm expecting the field mice to have gotten to those, eaten up the calcium, had a good time. I think that was straight up a really dried out fish head. Because it looked, if someone else has a better idea of what that was, I didn't want to touch it. I didn't want to like even like, it looked like a, I really thought I saw an antler shed and I was so excited. Because I think I saw like a really dried out fin, like something had gotten it to eat probably last fall. And then for some reason they had to leave part of it. And then it got covered in snow. Like, that's kind of gross. I feel like it wouldn't be gross, but it is. Like, it shouldn't be. It should be like, well, that's nature, but it's like, we're so far from the lake right now. That had to have been caught by like a bird. A bird got that fish. That's so weird. What a weird. If like I was right by the lake, I'd be like, this isn't gross. That makes sense. That's where you'd expect to see a fish head. But like, it's all the ways over there. Like, that thing traveled in a place where fish should not be. I need to stop harping on this, but what the fuck was that? Is this more of the same fish? That's fish. Those are for sure fish scales, not snake scales. This is insane. There's just been a murder, and it's not a murder, it's nature. I'm just like, but it's the fact that the body parts are like spread around. I feel like I'm solving a mystery, like, well, we know they came up from this direction. What the fuck? Oh my god, there's more. There's more of it. Stop. I don't want this. I don't like what I've discovered here. Like, this is so weird. Does this mean I can make the title of this video solving a murder? I'm not going to, it's gonna be about the deer, but like, what the fuck? I thought this was gonna be the end of the video. I said, hey, we're gonna end it. I'm probably gonna just get some shots of the lake. And now we found a fish head. What the fuck? Oh lord. Okay, we're gonna try and get some shots of the lake, but the sun is also right over it right now, so it's gonna be really hard to get anything that's not covered in glare. But okay, we need to be done. Oh, there's a horseshoes thing over there. I didn't bring any horseshoes or anyone to play with or any skill at the game of horseshoes. But if I had any of those, that'd be very fun. Let's go take a look at the lake though. Also, if you're trying to visualize where in the state this park is, first, just think of the shape of Minnesota. Think of the little divot that goes into South Dakota. We're right there. That's where we're at, like the bottom part of that divot. That's where we are, because, you know, we're on the border. Here we're at. Here's the boat launch. This is kind of fun. I don't want to walk out here because we've had some melty days, but that's really cool looking ice. Like, that's, you can see how close the water is to the surface here. I don't want to fall in. However, I will get closer.
Alright, you know what we had to do? We did it for Wisconsin, so... Hi, South Dakota! You know, for how grumpy I started that video, I feel like it's ended up being like a really fun park to go to. It's also one that I'm sure in the springtime this park is amazing. Because it's prairie, there's wildflowers, it's gorgeous. I don't think I would have enjoyed it then. I also don't think I would have enjoyed it in the fall because I'd be like, I wish there was somewhere with more trees. And I don't think I would have enjoyed, I think I would have been fine in the winter or this early spring. I think this is like the perfect time for me to visit it. Which probably is not the same for most people, but I've learned that I really like hiking in the early spring is what we've learned this year so far. I just realized I did like the denim scrunchie and then it's the one day I'm not wearing jeans. What is wrong with me?